Well, this is the new Royal Enfield Goan Classic 350. And while some of you might think it's just a paint and decal job, it's much more than that. It not only looks different, it rides different, it sounds different. So what all has changed in this motorcycle? Well, we are in Goa to ride the Goan Classic. And let's find out over the next few minutes what's good and what's not about this new motorcycle. So what has changed in terms of design on this motorcycle? Well, let's find out. Now, one key thing to note here is that beyond these white stripes, this motorcycle is the first on the J platform to get tubeless tires on spoke wheels. So that's something very exclusive to the Goan Classic 350. Move back and then the tank, well, it's similar to what you get on the Classic 350, but a lot of new paint schemes have been done, new decals. Now here what we have is the black and the contrasting gold emblem. So it really kind of pops out and gives the motorcycle a nice cool vibe. You also get the Goan Classic 350 inscribed on both the side panels, but this is where the biggest change is the single seat, and this is where the bobber inspiration shows for the motorcycle. Now if you want a pillion seat as an option, you can get it, but the character of this motorcycle is with this exposed fender. Now this is what gives this motorcycle such a nice and retro cool look. And one other thing that has changed compared to the Classic is the fact that the exhaust on this is slightly different. It's a bit longer. In terms of sound, it's a little different. We'll talk more about that later, but yes, it looks different. And then you also have these handlebars that are much higher than what you get on the Classic 350. So basically a different riding position and a distinctive look in itself. I personally quite like the way the Goan Classic 350 looks, and I think Royal Enfield designers have done a brilliant job on this. Now let's talk about the riding position and the instrument cluster and the button layout. Now first of all, like I said earlier, the handlebar is different from the Classic. Also the foot pegs are forward set and the seat height is lower than that of the Classic. Now this is 750 millimeters, and that means that riders with shorter height will also feel very comfortable on this motorcycle. You can easily get both your feet on the ground, and the handlebars, they are higher than the Classic, and when you combine that with a forward set foot peg, what you get is a very relaxed riding stance. Now when you're riding the motorcycle, how does it come across? We will talk about that, but for now it comes across as a stance that you would want to have if you're going touring. It's a pretty comfortable stance to have. The seat itself is quite nice. The cushioning is pretty much spot on, and I like the kind of rear hip support it gives you, so that's quite nice. And the instrument cluster, familiar to what you get in the Classic, has the retro theme on it. The button layout is again nice. The plastic quality is good. So it looks premium and it looks classic, and that's exactly the kind of memo the designers would have been given, and I think they've stuck to the job really well. Alright, now let's get to the riding part. And you remember when I said at the beginning of the video that it not just looks different, but it also rides different. Now why is that? Well, the hardware, the engine, nothing has changed. It's the same motor from the Classic 350, the same transmission. So you get the 350cc motor putting out 20.2 bhp and 27 newton meters of torque. 5-speed transmission. Hardware is same, no major change in terms of calibration too. So where's the change? The change is in the way you sit on the motorcycle. Like I explained earlier, the handlebars are higher than the Classic 350. The seat is lower and the foot pegs are forward set. So that just changes the way you sit on the motorcycle, and your riding posture is very different. It's very different from the Classic 350. Like you can see right now, I'm much more straighter and more relaxed. My feet are front. So yes, for long distance touring, I think this riding posture really works well. Now, how is it to ride? In terms of power, like I said earlier, same motor as Classic 350, so you get same kind of power, no big change in terms of weight as well. So yes, you've got the clean acceleration of the line. It will reach 100 kilometers at triple digit speed, but it doesn't feel happy at those speeds. The sweet spot for riding this motorcycle is at about 80, and you can sit on 80 kilometers and ride it whole day. And that's where the beauty of this motorcycle is. It's not meant to go fast, it's to enjoy motorcycling. And in terms of ride quality, handling, same chassis. Yes, this rear section is different. There's a bit of difference in terms of weight, but that's not enough to, you know, change the way the motorcycle rides in terms of handling. So you get the same kind of rubber. So the grip is good. It's a neutral handling motorcycle, and you can go around corners, but keep in mind, compared to the Classic 350, you're sitting much more straighter and forward set. So as a result of that, if you try going too fast around corners, you will end up digging the foot pegs or the exhaust way before you reach the limit of this motorcycle through the turns. Other few important things about the riding is, well, like you would expect from a Royal Enfield, the pulling power is nice. So even when you're in fifth gear, throttling along at 40 kilometers per hour, the motorcycle will pick from there. So that's a very good spot that makes rideability quite easy in the city and traffic. And one good thing that I really like about the motorcycle is that even when you're riding at about 80-90 kilometers an hour, the vibrations aren't enough to mess with your rear view mirrors. So at 80 and 90, when you're going fast, you can actually use the rear view mirrors. So that's again a very good thing. And yes, otherwise it's a refined motorcycle, and in general when you're riding it at speed limits, it's a very relaxed motor and doesn't make any gruffy or complaining sounds. Also, let's talk about the suspension. Same hardware, but that is one area where I think some changes have been made. This is a lot stiffer than the one on the Classic 350, and as a result of that, the ride is stiff. Now when you're going along on smooth roads like I am right now, no problem at all. The occasional expansion joint and slight undulations won't really bother you. But when you go on a bad surface of road, boy oh boy, it can get a bit bothersome. And basically for this motorcycle, what your back would end up saying after a long ride is, on a bad road, would be, when the going gets tough, well, your back is going to get rough. Yes, that's what you will feel on bad roads. On normal city roads, slightly bad, no problems at all. And that's how the Goan Classic 350 rides, right? I mean, it's a motorcycle that you would buy more for styling and for making a style statement, and it does that very good. And at the same time, it continues to be good and smooth to ride. Also, a different riding experience than the Classic 350. Let us know what you think of this motorcycle, and if you've taken a test ride at a nearby dealership, let us know what you think about the riding dynamics of this motorcycle. So now that I've already discussed the good and what's so not good about this motorcycle, what remains to be known is the price. Now I don't know the price right now, it will be announced in a couple of days, but for now, with all the details that we have, who should buy this motorcycle? Well, if you are someone who wants to make a style statement, want to really stand out from the crowd, and at the same time you want a retro motorcycle with a little more riding comfort in terms of posture, I think this really checks all the right boxes. I love the way it looks. It's got a nice amalgamation of modern tech with retro theme. So all of it works really well for this motorcycle. I just wish the ride quality was a bit on the softer side, but if you can live with that, I think Royal Enfield has done a brilliant job with its tribute to Goa and bobber styling.